Hiya guys, here's 5 ways with leftover roast dinner bits. On a Saturday night we did salt and pepper chicken as a roast and one person had a bit of gammon. And then on Sunday we did a roast beef Sunday dinner. And here's the bits left over come Monday morning for all of these things. So I had to invent ideas of what to use them up for, and I thought you might find it interesting. We all often end up with bits left over from a Sunday roast, and in the coming autumn months it's likely to happen more and more often. And I wanted to think of something a bit more out of the box, a bit more varied, interesting to do with them that can be more practical for during the week. So I've started by separating all the items that were just put in bowls and put into the fridge at the time. And by separating them you get to see what you've actually got and imagine how it might be used. And it's again another of those using your eye situations where you judge and see whether you think there's enough for a certain item or not. So I've got 5 slices of roast beef, a chicken leg and a bit of breast and a wing, a piece of a gammon, a couple of roast parsnips, a couple of roast potatoes, some boiled potatoes, a couple of pieces of boiled potato in skins, some carrots, swede, and some bits of green beans and sprouts. First thing that needed using were the sort of soft and broken up bits of green beans and sprouts, and so I've mixed them together. And here's what I made: gammon bubble and squeak little cakes that go fantastic on a breakfast, especially with beans and eggs, tomatoes, a few mushrooms, that sort of a breakfast. Here's how to do it. I beat up an egg in a dish suitable size to be able to dip them in, and popped a bit of corn flour in another dish. It could be ordinary flour, but corn flour does give you a crispness. And then some of my homemade breadcrumbs in another dish. And then took the little piece of gammon that was left over, and I knew I wasn't going to use it all, I just needed a bit because of the amount of the actual sprout and green bean mix that I had. And so I fine diced a little piece of the gammon to add to this mix. And then seasoned it, added a little bit of minced onion and a little bit of garlic salt for flavouring. I want this mixture to hold together through the breadcrumbing process and the frying. So it was a little moist, so I added a spoon or so of dried mashed potato. This almost instantly swells up and gives you the correct density for what you need, and it's just a natural product that's generally could be used in this anyway. And as you can see, the mixture came together in a ball that left the bowl clean, and that's what you're looking for really. And so then I wanted to divide it into 2 quite even pieces to make 2 cakes out of it. But remember, it may only be 2 cakes, but they're absolutely delicious, and they do form a breakfast for somebody, so that's another meal out of these already. Having formed them into a cake, I then dip them in the corn flour to seal them, and then into the egg, which when cooked forms a perfect seal, and then into the breadcrumbs, which give you the delicious tasty crispy crumb. And as you can see, this is not such a difficult process, it's just remembering the step 1, 2, 3, so it's flour, egg, crumb. Then just shallow fry them in a little oil for about 2 or 3 minutes on each side approximately, and you end up with hopefully something looking like this. I'm going to divide each of the 5 items by a picture of what's coming next, which item I'm making next, and I hope this makes it sort of simpler and easier to skip forward to if there's something you particularly like or want to make. So I decided to do a tray bake of roast chicken and vegetables, and so I got a Pyrex dish and popped in a little olive oil. I like the olive oil for the flavour, it could be any oil, and then warmed it in the oven slightly. This makes the oil more malleable and easier to coat thoroughly without using too much oil. So then I decided that I would use most of the vegetables up in a roast this way. So I've used the carrots, the swede, a couple of whole sprouts that happen to be left whole, and all the boiled potatoes in this. And I'm stripping off the thigh And as you can see, separating the thigh from the drumstick is very easy. And then I'm peeling off the skin carefully because I've got a trick to show you with the skin. So I'm separating the meat, and I want the pieces of meat to be quite small in this. They're not meant to dominate. It's meant to be a balance and make for a nice snack lunch. Just drop the pieces evenly over the potatoes and vegetables in the... Next I took some of my own homegrown and dried sage and just rubbed that over the top evenly of the mixture. Season to taste, and then really get your hands in there, mix it all up, make sure every item is coated in that lovely warm olive oil, then roast in a hot oven, top shelf, until golden to your taste. Honestly delicious. Midweek roasts in a pud. Mini foil trays, a bit of beef dripping in each one, pop them in a hot oven until the fat's piping hot. And here's a bit of leftover Yorkshire pudding mix and a lot of leftover lovely rich gravy made from all the veg and meat stock. Chop 5 pieces of beef, roast potato and roast parsnip, and then pour the Yorkshire pudding mixture into the now hot trays of fat. Place 1 piece of beef, potato and parsnip in each Yorkshire pudding, and then pop these in a hot oven, medium shelf, for about 20 to 25 minutes. Particularly nice served with some stir-fry cabbage and sautéed carrots and lashings of that lovely gravy. This quick frittata is really nice hot, served with a bit of salad, but also brilliant for packed lunches, cold snacks, picnics. And here's how I made it. I didn't want to waste that beaten egg that I'd used earlier for dipping, and there's nothing wrong with it, so I decided I'd add a second egg to it to make enough. And I had a pepper that needed using up, plus half of this onion and those 2 pieces of potato that were cooked in their skins on the roast dinner. I chopped them all up into nice bite-sized bits, but enough to leave a good texture and for them to be able to absorb any nice herbs and flavours that I might add. After adding each of these to the egg dish, I then season and give it a good mix round so that it's all evenly mixed. When it's all mixed, I take a heavy bottomed all metal frying pan and heat up some oil and then add the mixture to it. It needs to be an all metal pan because it will be going in the oven, and so the handle must be metal too. Spreading it out evenly, I then add a little Italian seasoning to the top and pop that in a hot oven for about 10 minutes until delicious, piping hot and golden. My 5th and final idea was to make fajitas. I had quite a few ingredients still left over, and I decided that I could make chicken fajitas and beef fajitas. So I cut the remaining pepper and onion into half, reserving half for the chicken fajitas, and then sliced in long thin slices the onion, the pepper and the beef. I then added some chili powder to this mix and some seasoning, and then I scrunched it all together until everything was coated and the flavours were being absorbed. I then popped that into a frying pan with a little hot oil and left it to cook, keeping an eye on it. And then I decanted that from the frying pan into a bowl before repeating the same process with the chicken, peppers, onions, seasoning and chilli. While that was cooking, I had this ripe avocado that needed using up, and I thought that goes well as a topping for these fajitas. I halved it, removed the stone, removed the peel and fine sliced it. And here we have the chicken mix, and it does look delicious. Breaking off from the fajitas for a second or two, the tray bake is now out of the oven. And I've just got some fresh basil from my garden that I want to break up, and it gives off that lovely aroma while the tray bakes so warm. Releases that and it looks delicious and it sets off the dish. And also out of the oven is my crispy chicken skin. I told you I had a tip for the chicken skin. Never waste it. If you bake it in the oven long and slow, it will go crispy, and you can break it into tiny crumbs which make a fantastic topping to all sorts of dishes and can be stored for ages in the fridge or even the freezer. A bit like adding bacon bits to a salad. Next, I'm compiling the fajitas into these little breads. I make these breads myself and they will appear in a future video. But you could use any little wraps or tortillas that you have, but I find small ones are the best for this. I quartered a lime and used half of it to squeeze over the avocado so that it doesn't go brown, and the other chopped into small chunky wedges that people can help themselves to if they want a little more lime juice on theirs. I made 2 chicken and 2 beef fajitas with this, and I topped the chicken ones with the lovely crispy bits of chicken skin, and they were delicious and added a crunch. And so I'll leave you with these pictures of all that we made from some leftover bits from roast dinners, and I hope some of these ideas have caught your imagination. And obviously I'd love you to subscribe and click the notification bell, because I have to make these when the leftovers really turn up. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.